Jayadvaita Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayadvaita Madhava Kunja Bihari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jayadvaita Swami 31.08.2011 Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Jai Adanta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Nama Acharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kirtan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Manu Mai ki jai. Tulsi Dev ki jai. Bhakti Dev ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to be assembled. All glories to be assembled. All glories to be assembled. Go Premanande. My apologies for being so quick. It's not good to see you friends. I'm very difficult for the Bhagavatam to be. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Well, yours has been selected. Is this broadcast anywhere? I can't.
No, on the screen. We see it on the screen.
You can see it on the screen. Okay. Etan Nirvidyamananam Ishchatam Akuto Bhayam Yogina Nrupa Nirnitam Harer Nama Ankirtanam Etan Nirvidyamananam Ishchatam Akuto Bhayam Yoginam Nripanirnitam Harer Nama Kirtanam Etan Nirvidyamananam Ishchatam Akuto Bhayam Yoginam Nripanirnitam Harer Nama Kirtanam Etan Nirvidyamananam Ishchatam Akuto Bhayam Yoginam Nripanirnitam Harer Nama Kirtanam Etan Nirvidyamananam Ishchatam Akuto Bhayam Yoginam Nripanirnitam Harer Nama Kirtanam Etan Nirvidyamananam Ishchatam Akuto Bhayam Yoginam Nripanirnitam Harer Nama Kirtanam. Ladies.
Etan Nirvidyamananam Ishchatam Akuto Bhayam Yoginam Nripanirnitam Harer Nama Kirtanam Etan Nirvidyamananam Ishchatam Akuto Bhayam Yoginam Nripanirnitam Harer Nama Kirtanam.
Etan. It is. Nirvidyamananam. Of those who are completely free. From all material desires. Ichchitam, of those who are desirous, of all sorts of material enjoyment. Akutaha bhayam, free from all doubts and fear. Yogina, of all who are self-satisfied. Nripa, O King. Nirnitam, decided truth. Hare, of the Lord. Shri Krishna. Nama, holy name. Anu, after someone. Always. Kirtanam, chanting. O King, constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all, including those who are free from all material desires, those who are desirous of all material enjoyment, and also those who are self-satisfied by dint of transcendental knowledge. Purport. In the previous verse, the great necessity for attaining attachment to Mukunda has been accredited. There are different types of persons who desire to attain success in different varieties of pursuits. Generally, the persons are materialists who desire to enjoy the fullest extent of material gratification. Next to them are the transcendentalists, who have attained perfect knowledge about the nature of material enjoyment, and thus are aloof from such an illusory way of life. More or less, they are satisfied in themselves by self-realization. Above them are the devotees of the Lord, who neither aspire to enjoy the material world nor desire to get out of it. They are after the satisfaction of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In other words, the devotees of the Lord do not want anything on their personal account. If the Lord desires, the devotees can accept all sorts of material facilities. And if the Lord does not desire this, the devotees can leave aside all sorts of facilities, even up to the limit of salvation. Nor are they self-satisfied, because they want the satisfaction of the Lord only. In this verse, Sri Sukadeva Goswami recommends the transcendental chanting of the holy name of the Lord. By offenseless chanting and hearing of the holy name of the Lord, one becomes acquainted with the transcendental form of the Lord, and then with the attributes of the Lord, and then with the transcendental nature of his pastimes, etc. Here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. Hearing the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about his form, his attributes, his pastimes, and so on. And thus the necessity for chanting of his glories develops successively. Om Jnana-Timirandhasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Vena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Vena Bhutale Mayam Rupakata Mayam Tadhati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Kamalam Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Shadrajatam Shahagana Bhagavatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Kanan Shahagana Lavita Sri Shakam Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopakanta Radhakanta Namaste Raptakam Chanagaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Devi Manamani Horipriye Vanchakalpataruvyasya Kapasambho Jayadvaita Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Etan Yuvidyamana Anam Shritam Katobhayam. Okay? Yoginam Vivitam Hare. The Srila Prabhupada first delineates the three kinds of persons. Those who are after material enjoyment, those who are after liberation, and the devotees who have nothing to aspire for but Krishna's satisfaction. The materialists are the fools. They're after material enjoyment, not knowing what it is. Enjoyment is, you could say a misnomer, but not exactly, because that's the name they've chosen to give it. But it's not enjoyable. Enjoyment of this material world means suffering. And the more we try to enjoy, the more we increase our quota of suffering. So the world is very bewildered. People are thinking that they can increase their enjoyment. And the more they endeavor to do that, the more they increase their suffering. This is called Maya. The transcendentalists are free from that misconception. And they're self-satisfied. Antarjyotireyavya. The Bhagavad Gita said that their happiness is within, their aim of life is within, everything within. The materialists are looking for happiness outside themselves, from the things of this material world. But the transcendentalists look inward, and they find satisfaction in the self. And they seek to be liberated from the material existence. That's their desire. But the devotees have no material desires. Their desire is to serve Krishna. The Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakala Shanta Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Deva Shanta. Those who are seeking sense enjoyment, bhukti, those who are seeking liberation, mukti, and those who are seeking mystic powers are all dissatisfied. They're all ashanta. They can't have peace because they're aspiring for something which is unconstitutional to the self. They're not seeking the real business of life, which is service to Krishna. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam, devotee has no material desires. Adeva Shanta, therefore he's actually peaceful. Peaceful and free from fear, free from anxiety, because he knows that my business is only to serve Krishna. Anukirtanam means, therefore, chanting of the holy name of the Lord. But chanting implies the full range of service to the Lord. Chanting, hearing, remembering, serving. Chanting is the first item and the most important item. But it's not the only item. And if we try to make it the only item, then we will misunderstand the science. Of course, the exalted devotees may chant only. But if we make a show of trying to be like them, we'll make a farce. Haridas Thakur, Raghunath Das Goswami, they could simply chant and be absorbed in pure devotion and service. But the imitationists will not achieve the same result. There was some story that Jagannath Das Babaji was chanting so many rounds, sitting in a little hut, and in ecstasy. And some other person also decided that he would set up a little hut, and he would also chant, and he would also be in ecstasy, and he would also be honored the way Jagannath Das Babaji was. So it was simply a show. And Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj commented that one can't give birth to a child simply by entering the labor room. The pregnant mother who enters the labor room will give birth to a child. Any other lady who enters the labor room will not get the same result simply by entering that room. So simply by making a show, one doesn't become Raghunath Das Goswami, Haridas Thakur. And particularly, one should, in chanting the holy name, the association of devotees is of importance. We should try to get the association of devotees, pure devotees, and chant following their footsteps. Anukirtanam means following. If we look at the examples of the acharyas, kirtan means that from kirtan service will develop. Service means what Krishna wants. If Krishna wants me to kill my grandfather, I'll kill my grandfather. If Krishna wants this, the gopis, they gave up their honor to try to satisfy Krishna. The Arjuna gave up his family affection to satisfy Krishna. Because they had no desires of their own. Their only desire was to serve Krishna. Therefore the kitchen. Not just as a practical matter, but yes, as a practical matter, that if Krishna wants me to serve in the kitchen, I'll serve in the kitchen. If Krishna wants me to serve leading the kirtan, I'll lead the kirtan. If Krishna wants me to serve doing the accounts, I'll do the accounts. If Krishna wants me to do something else, I'll do something else. Not that I'll only chant Hare Krishna. And then if there's some other service, no, I'm chanting Hare Krishna. Chanting Hare Krishna is crucial. It's the most important item. But then the success of chanting Hare Krishna is manifest in my desire to serve Krishna. One time there was a Rath Yatra festival in San Francisco. And during Srila Prabhupada's time, the biggest Rath Yatra festival, practically the only one, but not the only one, but the very biggest was in San Francisco, on the west coast of America. And we had a group of devotees serving at ISKCON Press, which was in Boston, on the east coast of America. And when the time came for the Rath Yatra, the one press manager had the idea that all of the devotees in the press, we can jump in a van, we can drive across the country, constant driving, 3 days we'll be there. Then we can attend the Rath Yatra, and then we can again drive back, so within a week we'll be back. And we'll get to see Srila Prabhupada and take part in the festival. So it's a very nice plan. So when Srila Prabhupada heard this plan, he said, why do they want to do that? They should stay and do their service. End of plan. That the press service is also Anukirtana. One time, Srila Prabhupada was speaking, and Satsrup Maharaj was just in the next room typing. So the typing was loud. Those were the days of loud typewriter machines. And Srila Prabhupada said, I am not stopping him, because the typewriting is also kirtan. The typewriting is also kirtan. The press is the big mridanga. So, kirtanam, in Srila Prabhupada's example, kirtanam meant cooking, kirtanam meant printing books, kirtanam meant everything for the glorification of Krishna. Everything for the glorification of Krishna. Prabhupada mentioned that the Indian railways had a slogan, keep the wheels turning. The Indian Railways, I think, is the biggest employer, if not in the world, certainly in India. They employ more people than anyone else. Huge organization. But only a few of the employees are conductors of the train, or drivers of the train. So many are ticket takers and cooks and inspectors and mechanics and engineers, and track layers and accountants and so many things. But the service of every one of them is required in order to keep the wheels turning. Not just someone steering the train. So in that way, every service is valuable and every servant is valuable. Not that one service is valuable and other service is not valuable. One time Srila Prabhupada said the person who's sweeping the temple room is as good as the person who's editing the Back to Godhead. There's no difference. So, by practical example, Anukirtana means glorifying Krishna. And at the same time, Anukirtanam doesn't mean that because everything is glorifying Krishna, so that I won't chant Hare Krishna. I'll glorify Krishna in every way, except by chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna is the chanting, is the first and most important of these items. But then from that chanting, then service, our desire to serve will increase. Let me serve, let me serve, let me serve. Chanting of the holy name means that Krishna's form will become manifest, Krishna's qualities will become manifest, Krishna's pastimes, everything about Krishna will be manifest by the sincere chanting of the holy name. Srila Prabhupada made clear this doesn't mean that while chanting the holy name, I should think of the form of Krishna, I should remember the pastimes of Krishna, I should concentrate on the qualities of Krishna. That's not the method. One should concentrate on chanting here the holy name, that's all. Prabhupada told one devotee, one German devotee as it happens, just try to hear yourself chant sincerely. We should simply hear and chant, and then automatically the form of Krishna, qualities of Krishna, everything will become manifest. Abhinatan, because there's no difference between Krishna and Krishna's holy name. Hearing from authorities. Here it is mentioned that one should constantly chant the holy name of the Lord after hearing it from authorities. This means that hearing from the authorities is the first essential. We should hear the holy name from devotees of the holy name, from devotees of Krishna, not from the non-devotees. The non-devotees will chant as a musical performance, or they'll chant in some irregular way because they're not trained in the process. One should hear from the authorities. Hearing of the holy name gradually promotes one to the stage of hearing about his form, his attributes, his pastimes, and so on. And thus the necessity of the chanting of his glories develops successively. Everything will proceed from the chanting of the holy name. Chanting, reading, chanting, hearing, reading is remembering. This process is recommended not only for the successful execution of devotional service, but also even for those who are materially attached. According to Sri Shukadeva Goswami, this way of attaining success is an established fact, concluded nirnita, not only by him, but also by all other previous acharyas. Therefore, there is no need of further evidence. The process is recommended not only for the progressive students in different departments of ideological success, but also for those who are already successful in their achievement as fruitive workers, as philosophers, or as devotees of the Lord. Everyone should chant Hare Krishna. Whether I want some material benedictions, I want spiritual freedom, or I want service, I should chant the holy name of the Lord. This is the recommendation. The best chanting is chanting with no material objectives. Anyavilasha shunyam, jnana karma yanakatam. Anukulyena Krishna Shilana Bhakti Rutama. The real goal is pure devotional service. But we don't say, unless you're a pure devotee, don't take up this chanting of the holy name. Until you reach this stage, don't chant the holy name. At any stage, whether one has material desires, no desires, or desires to serve Krishna, one should chant the holy name of the Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami instructs that chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be loudly done and it should be performed offenselessly as well, as recommended in the Padma Purana. One can deliver himself from the effects of all sins by surrendering himself unto the Lord. One can deliver himself from all offenses at the feet of the Lord by taking shelter of his holy name. But one cannot protect himself if one commits an offense at the feet of the holy name of the Lord. Such offenses are mentioned in the Padma Purana as being 10 in number. So, Srila Prabhupada is going to enumerate these 10 offenses, emphasizing at the time of initiation, these are the items: to follow 4 regulative principles, to chant Hare Krishna, and to avoid 10 kinds of offenses. This is Anukirtan. Anu means following the authorities. These are the instructions of the authorities. No gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating, no illicit sex. Positively, to chant the holy name of the Lord, and to avoid 10 kinds of offenses to the holy name. One can get free from all sins, all the reactions of past activities, by chanting the holy name of the Lord. But one should not offend the holy name of the Lord. So here are 10 kinds of offenses that one should try to avoid. The first offense is to vilify the great devotees who have preached about the glories of the Lord. Sadhuninda. Sadhu means a devotee of the Lord. Sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito saha. The Lord it's described, Srila Prabhupada describes in the 3rd canto, that a man can tolerate heat on his head. Suppose he's in the desert, though the sun on his head he may be able to tolerate. But the heat on the feet is unbearable. Walking on hot sand, really hot, is unbearable. Suppose it's 85 degrees, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So you may be able to tolerate that, but the same heat on the feet is unbearable. So the devotees are at the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord may tolerate offenses to himself, but not offenses to devotees. Srila Prabhupada cites, "Love me, love my dog." The devotees, he said, are like the pet dogs of Krishna. If we please the devotee of the Lord, then Krishna becomes pleased. And if we vilify the devotees of the Lord, then what is our situation? The devotees are very dear to Krishna. Krishna is famous as Bhakta Vatsal. Not Karmi Vatsal, Jnani Vatsal, but Bhakta Vatsal. He's so much inclined to his devotees. In the 3rd canto, Lord Narayan tells the Jayadvaita, and the Kumars, I would lop off my right arm for the sake of my devotees. So when the devotee is offended, Krishna is more than them. And therefore, if we expect to make progress by chanting the holy name of the Lord, what kind of progress will we make if at the same time we're offending the Lord's devotees. Not only the great devotees, but every devotee is great. Jay Bhaje, Shebha, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anyone who engages in the service of Krishna is great. Abhaktahin Charli, non-devotees are wretched, that's another thing. But Ye Bhaje, Shebha. Everyone who engages in the service of Krishna is great. Therefore, we should not discriminate that, well, he's a great devotee, I should honor him. And he's a small devotee, I'll criticize him. That's a policy for fools. Or a suicidal policy. That let me offend the devotees. There's a kind of pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. And as one chants offenselessly, one gets that taste. Nam-ruchi. Maharaj mentioned yesterday, Nam-ruchi. One will get a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord. And by offending the devotees, one will get a taste for offending devotees. That taste also progressively increases. It's mentioned about Ramchandra Puri, that he was offending the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so the fruit of his offense is he became increasingly offensive. To the point where he was criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. I'm the authority. I know what is what. What do these other people know? My business is to criticize everyone else. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prescribed amanina amanadena. One should be humble. Janadapi shunikena kirodati sudhishana. Amanina amanadena kirtaniya sadhana. If one wants to engage in anukirtana, constant chanting of the holy name, then one needs to be humble, which means not expecting respect for oneself, but giving respect to all others. And especially one should respect the devotees of the Lord. In the Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami mentions that for a person on whose tongue the holy name of Krishna is present, we should give respect. We should give respect. Even if his behavior is not very good, and we want to keep a distance from him, we should respect him from that distance. And those who are initiated in following the process of devotional service seriously, to them we should offer our respectful obeisances. And Shrushaya Vijnana, what is that? Shrushaya Vijnana Vijnana Misha Nindadi Shunya Vidamipsita Sangavamina. And those whose hearts are completely pure, who are expert, Bhajana Vigya, expert in devotional service, to them we should hear. We should give submissive hearing and engage in service. And what is their characteristic? Nindadi Shunya Vidamipsita. Nindadi Shunya Vidam. Their hearts are free from this propensity from all material contaminations, beginning with this propensity to criticize others. Ninda Yushunva. So Srila Rupa Goswami advises that even the neophyte devotee we should respect. And what to speak of the advanced devotee. Even to offend a neophyte devotee will get us in trouble with the Supreme Lord. And what to speak of offending an advanced devotee, one who's dedicated his whole life to the service of Krishna. If one offends such a devotee, one is on the path of ruining his spiritual life. He may not perceive it at first because it's insidious, it's corrosive. But gradually his devotional service will dry up. It will become like the waning moon of devotional service. Smaller, 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 until it goes. We should be very careful, neither individually or corporately should we offend a pure devotee of the Lord. Even if we find some misbehavior in the person of the devotee, we still have to consider him a saint. Even great misbehavior. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mamana sadhare samantati. Even if someone greatly misbehaves, if he's seriously dedicated to the service of Krishna, one must consider him a sadhu. Samyak vedasita hisa. Because his determination is right. And one should be very careful about sadhu vinda and 9 other offenses. To adequately discuss these other 9 offenses will not be possible in the remaining time today. But there are 9 more, and they should all be avoided. This is anukirtana, not simply chanting this way or that way, but to chant by following the instructions and following the footsteps of the great authorities. Then kirtaniya sadhana, then we can constantly chant the holy name of Krishna and relish the name of Krishna, the service of Krishna, the form of Krishna, the qualities of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna. Everything will be manifest for the devotee who seriously follows the process. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Do we have a second microphone, by the way? No, okay, we just speak loud.
Okay. Like you just mentioned, if a devotee has taste for service, how can men misbehave?
If a devotee has taste for
Service, doing
service,
how can he badly misbehave?
how can he?
Badly misbehave.
How can he badly misbehave? If a devotee has a taste for service, how can he badly misbehave? By Maya's tricks. Mama Maya Duratya. Maya is very powerful. And even a devotee who's on the stage of Bhava can be tricked by Maya. Maharaj Bharat was so advanced in devotional service. He had such a taste, Uttama Shloka Lalasa. He's so fond of Krishna, he had such attraction to Krishna that he gave up his Dharasutta, he gave up his wife, he gave up his children, he gave up his kingdom. Malavat, like stool. You know, he flushed his wife, children, and the kingdom. And went to the forest for devotional service to Krishna. And then got captivated by a poor little deer who'd lost its mommy and had no one to take care of it. And he became distracted by the deer and developed love of deer. Oh, how is it possible? Well, because Maya is so strong. His devotional service wasn't lost. He got to continue in the next life, and finally he attained perfection. But see how tricky Maya is. Even for Maharaj Bharat. Apart from that, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that generally our material life and spiritual life go in parallel. So I'm performing my material activities in such a way that they're congenial to devotional service. But sometimes our material conditioned life crosses the path of devotional service. So where it's at cross purposes. And then one may be tricked. He used to smoke and someone offers him a cigarette. He used to drink and someone offers him a beer. Or in some circumstance, he's compromised. Still we have to consider him sin. Still we have to consider him sin. When Brahmananda Prabhu was the first president of 26 Second Avenue, Prabhupada said, even if you see Brahmananda walking down the street smoking a cigarette, still you have to consider him saintly. He wasn't doing it, but Prabhupada as an example. And sometimes because of our conditioned life, we're not, as they say, translators, out of the woods yet. It means we haven't crossed beyond all obstacles yet. So until we've reached perfection, until we're actually free from all material conditioning, Maya may take a jab and someone's may do something which is Sudarajago, very much against proper behavior. But if his determination is to serve Krishna, still he has to be considered a son.
On the same point of Abhijit Suracharo.
You have to be very, very loud.
I'm sorry. On the same point of Abhijit Suracharo, we have to consider someone saintly even if they greatly, quote you, misbehave.
We have to consider some Abhijit Sudharachara, we have to consider someone saintly
even if they greatly misbehave, to paraphrase you.
Even if there's a great misbehavior.
What about those who actually harm?
Those who actually harm?
Abuse sexually some of the children in the movie.
Those who abuse children, or even. And there are examples in commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and so on that are equally strong. Even if he does most abominable things, still he has to be considered a sadhu. Now we don't say, well, he's a sadhu, so let him, bugger the children, that's fine, sadhu's privilege. But we can't consider him an ordinary person. Still he has to be considered sadhu.
So why the ostracism? Why is that we don't let them associate with other sadhus?
Why don't we let them associate with other sadhus? That's, of course, a practical matter. There are some kinds of devotees we wouldn't let them associate with, those whom they might victimize. that we have to be very careful. Because the victims are also sadhus. And those who are in responsible positions should not be responsible for offenses to sadhus. But those sadhus also should be protected. That's there. That's also there. But still, someone's determination is to serve Krishna. He's not an ordinary person. He has to be considered not like the materialist. Yes, Krishna.
Yeah, regarding offenses, can you say something about inattentive chanting?
Can I say something about inattentive chanting? Yeah, I do it a lot.
I'm an expert also in it. The effect of it and the effect of attentive.
Excuse me?
The effect of inattentive
The effects of inattentive chanting are that we develop more inattentive chanting. Or, from another point of view, even inattentive chanting will help us. Not that I chant inattentively and then therefore I'm going to stop chanting. But it won't have the same effectiveness as concentrated chanting. Inattention to the holy name means inattention to Krishna. Krishna is personally coming in the form of his holy name. And we're checking our Facebook page. One should be very serious about avoiding inattention. Shanai, what is that? Uparamena. What is that? In Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter? Shanai Nischalati Mana Chanchalamaskira Tatastato Niyamyaita Atmanyeva Vashamnaye. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, wherever the mind goes, he's describing the yoga system, wherever the mind goes while one's practicing yoga, because of the mind's restless, fickle, unsteady nature, from wherever it's gone, one should bring it back. Atmanyeva Vashamnaye, under self-control or under the control of Krishna. One should place the mind at the lowest feet of Krishna. Savai Mana Krishna Paradi Bhaktiya. So this is the practice. We know that the mind is going to wander. We know what kind of mind we have. So that kind of mind should be controlled. And this is the controlling method to fix the mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. So one should try to arrange things in such a way that one can chant with attention, one can chant with concentration. And one should practice, yes. Not that there are some kinds of meditation where they recommend, let your mind wander, wherever it goes. That's not our method. Our method is to stop the mind from wandering, but bringing it again and again to the lotus feet of Krishna. Otherwise, one becomes distracted. One becomes, in every department, inattentive chanting will mean inattentive service, inattentive spotty remembering, spotty hearing, spotty everything. Spotty everything. It's irregular. Sometimes serving Krishna, sometimes serving our senses. Or with concentration. They take that light, what is it? Laser. The laser beam is light focused, as far as I understand. Like you began, Mark could straighten me out about these things, but as far as I understand, the frequency is focused in a certain way. Or when you take a magnifying glass, if you focus the beams of the sun can start a fire. The same sunlight, when diffused, just gives some light, gives some warmth. But if you focus the beam, you can create a fire. So, those who want to be fired up in devotional service, this is the method to chant with concentration. Yes?
Could you elaborate some more on the third Shiksastika prayer about having a mood of humility and tolerance? So it's not
Having the mood of humility and tolerance. Could I elaborate on that? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu elaborates that humble like the grass, Trinadapi, actually it means more than the grass. The grass, everybody walks on it. And the grass never says, "Hey, who do you think you are? Walking on me. Don't you know who I am?" Grass has rights too, you know. That's all right when you walk on it. The grass never protests. It's so tolerant. And Sarora Pisahishna, the tree, is tolerant. The grass is humble, everyone can walk on the grass. And the tree is tolerant. People take its fruit, people take its flowers, people take its leaves, people take its bark. Lovers carve their initials on it. And again, the tree never protests. The tree never says, "I'm not going to give shade to you after what you did to me." Intolerant.
How about in the sense where you were saying that sometimes we may be asked to do services that we feel...
Sometimes what?
When we're asked to do services that seem that would make us proud, such as giving class, leading Kirtan, doing accounts or something like that, how would you explain that humility?
I'm sorry, you're fading. You have to be really loud.
Sometimes...
Oh, there we go. That's what we needed.
You were mentioning earlier that sometimes we may have to do services that would include leading Kirtan, giving class, and so on. And so on. We may refuse to do this and say,
We may.
refuse to do this.
Yes.
Out of humility, we may say, "Oh, how can I do this? You know, I'm such and such person, and so forth, and so on." So how can you explain by doing this is done out of humility?
It practically explains itself. If I'm such a person, that this is below my dignity, that's below my dignity, then that's my position. I have this position. But humble. If it's for Krishna's service, then let me do it. One time Srila Prabhupada was sitting with some disciples, and some person asked, "What is the position of a disciple?" And Prabhupada motioned to some disciple, "You answer." The devotee said, "Servant, Srila Prabhupada." Prabhupada said, "Menial servant." Menial means any negligible service you'll do. And Prabhupada was going around to the paper dealers. What kind of business is that for sannyasi to be engaged in commercial affairs? Prabhupada was going up to the tea patrons. "Please take a little paper." That means taking the position of a beggar. If you're a philanthropist, everyone will say, "Oh, he's so great, he gave $50,000 to the Red Cross, he gave this to the community, he gave that." And a beggar, who gives him respect? So he devotee takes up the position of a beggar. Please take this book and give some little donation. Takes the position of a beggar. So he's the most exalted person. He's begging people, please, please, please. Just chant Hare Krishna, just take a book. Just do some little service. So Krishna becomes very appreciative. Yes.
I have no matter. I just
A few days ago, I spoke with a devotee. He was complaining that devotee, when they preach, they're so very proud, like our religion is the best.
We're proud of Krishna.
Okay, but they come over like fanatic. So they have an impression.
Well, call it what you want. Fanatic. You know, Thomas Alva Edison was a fanatic. He had this idea: make a light bulb, make a light bulb, make a light bulb. He tried this, it didn't work. He tried that, it didn't work. He tried 100 more things, it didn't work. Finally, he found something that worked. Well, then he became a genius. Till then, he was a fanatic.
If you turn away, because some people, because of this, so they call you a sect or whatever.
All right, so let them call me a sect, let me call, whatever you call me, that's fine. So where we belong to the sect of people who are distributing this knowledge. So it's a very interesting sect. You should also join the sect.
But Sri Prabhupada was always teaching us to be like a gentleman or lady while preaching.
Yes, we're very, not that we should be like a gentleman or lady while preaching. Yes. We don't swear at people. We're requesting, please take this book, please take this book. Any gentleman, if someone's running off the roof of his house, what gentleman will say, well, that's the way things go. Even a gentleman will say, hey, what are you doing? He's a gentleman. It's not that he's stopped being a gentleman, but he sees there's some emergency. This man has to be stopped. Now, we should practice how to speak in such a way that people will appreciate, people will feel that, yes, this is such a nice person. Even though I didn't take his book, he was so nice to me, or I took his book, and it was just because he was so nice to me. So as far as possible, we should cultivate that part. How everyone will appreciate such nice people. But not that the way we become appreciated as nice is that we don't do anything. Or we do only what the materialists approve of. That's nice at the expense of our capital, of our purpose. And that's useless. You wanted to say something? Is that hand is just there? Okay. This is Germany. And in Germany, when a train arrives at 10 o'clock, it arrives at exactly 10 o'clock. And when we stop at 8:45, we stop at exactly 8:45. So we will stop. Thank you.